Okay. So we did this little poll, and right now, 75% of the folks in this discussion today identify as a solo ager. Um, 36% say that they're planning for the potential that they might be a solo in the future, and then 48% are helping people that identify as solos. And you could answer all three of those questions correctly, so it's not one or the other. But that's pretty interesting, and I think that's really, I hope, leads to a great discussion that we can have today on this. So back to what we're going to try to do here today is the reason that this was suggested is that our last discussion on the topic of solo aging, there was so many different, and anytime we do a discussion on solo aging, there seems to be so many different topics, and there's many people in the audience that really have a problem that they'd like to have some feedback on and have it solved. But when we have a speaker and we have a platform and we have sort of a sequential way of answering and asking questions, a lot of times I'm not sure if that's delivering maximum value to somebody who's out there trying to come up with solutions. And then the other thing is just the topic of solo aging sort of begs us to, hey, let's come together as a community, because for the 75% in the audience that identify as a solo ager, just looking at this screen should give you a good feeling. You're not alone. I mean, it's ironic actually that we identify ourselves as solos, but there's so many people out there that identify as solos, and if we come together, that may be helpful. So today is just an experiment. Let's I've currently I have everybody muted, so just be cognizant of your microphone. But I say let's just jump into discussions, and let's start with, is there anybody out there that's got a problem or challenge that they're dealing with related to this topic of solo aging that they'd like to throw out to this community, and maybe we can brainstorm and solve problems. So the best way to, if you want to participate, you can use you can type in using chat, but because we're in a meeting format and we've about 60 people here, we should be able to kind of make this a roundtable discussion. So just either turn on your mic or raise your hand, and I'll turn on your mic. It's up to you. But does anybody have anything for us to kick off our discussion? Any challenges?
This is Kitty. It's not a current challenge, but the issue I'm very interested in is people who stay in their home too long, and so then it's a crisis because they didn't realize or refuse to accept that they were no longer capable of managing themselves in a single family house. So that's my issue that I'm interested in, and I see it playing out over and over. My particular issue with it is taken care of, but I see, and I talk to millennials who are watching their grandparents. So I mean, it's all over the place.
And Kitty, I saw your name and I was like, oh my goodness, Kitty is going to be featured in one of our discussions here, and I'm going to share this with everybody, and I'd love for other folks to jump in and respond to Kitty's comment. But this coming up on December 7th, as Kitty, oh wait, here, now I'm sharing it. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Can y'all see my screen? I hope. Yeah. Anyway,
Yes,
Yeah,
we can
okay,
hear you.
yeah. So on December 7th, Kitty is going to be featured at one of our discussions because exactly what Kitty did was she dreamed up what the home that she would want to move into if she got older. And AARP wrote an article about it, and we're gonna chat about like what is your dream home or community as you grow older. What does that look like? So Kitty, I'm glad you posed that question to us all here, and I hope that some of us join in for the discussion you're going to be featured at. The other thing about moving to a community and being a solo is that you're all alone when you're at home, right? Okay. The moment you move into a community, you're in, whether it be a retirement community or an apartment building or more densely, you're not necessarily as alone anymore. So I got to shut up. Okay. Let's see. Rena, your hand is raised. Do you want to unmute?
My hand is raised, but Linda was first.
Oh, okay. Linda?
Thank you.
Yeah, Linda.
Yeah, I'm new here, but my husband and I are together right now, and we don't have any close really friends or younger family members. So my question is, I need a team of people to be a fiduciary and also a power of attorney. So I've been looking into a social worker and maybe the daily money manager versus a senior law, a lawyer that would take care of everything. I think they're aging attorneys, take care of aged care. So, trying to keep the costs down, but also if I need somebody to write a check or, make sure that everything balances and that I could probably even put on the will, as being a executor or a power of attorney.
Linda, thanks for sharing that. And before I go to Rena, who has her hand raised, is there anybody in the audience that has come up with a similar solution to what? Oh, Rena. Well, Rena, go ahead and unmute. And then if anybody else has a similar solution, because this comes up in all of our solo aging discussions, Linda.
Thank you so much. And I do want to also respond to Kitty with a thought, but to Linda, I use my attorney as my executor, as my power of attorney, and he is not a healthcare advocate because he was overwhelmed with that. But it was one of the questions I asked him before hiring him, is if he would serve in that capacity for me. I don't know if that's helpful to you, but it's a big ask to ask of people that you're not very close with. So, I'm very clear in my documents about what my healthcare wishes are, what my living will is, and all the documents that he helped create. So I feel confident he can be the executor.
I'm going to respond to that. I have talked to a couple of social workers, and they do advise to get an attorney that would do everything, help you move if you had to into a nursing home, help you sell your home, help you pay your bills. And in the Philadelphia area where I'm from, there are a ton of attorneys. The price, though, is really steep. $400 just to see them, just to talk to them an hour. So I'm not sure that I was thinking of getting a geriatric social worker. And I've also talked to several people in the daily money manager organization. So they spend more like $100, $200 an hour.
I would just add, I'm in New York City and my attorney didn't charge me anything near that. He has a set rate to do these documents, to provide this service. And as my executor, I'm paying him out of my estate anyway. So you're looking for tasks while you're still living. There are several comments in the chat that you may want to make sure you attend to that are directly addressing your comment as well.
Thank you.
And I would just like to quickly respond to Kitty as well, and then I'll step off. I love the idea of an ideal community. And Steve, could you put the link to that article in the chat?
I did.
Um,
Yeah, to the discussion. Yeah.
But what about her article that you said you quoted?
Oh, it's actually at the same thing. You can read the
Okay.
article in the follow-up. Yeah.
Thank you. One of the concepts that I've been talking about with people for years, and it's just really hard to get it going. I happen to live in an apartment building, with 200 other apartments. And we talked about everyone moving to the same building and then having a phone tree and a way to help each other as an interim step to moving to a retirement community. And I definitely have my ideal qualities for what that looks like as well. So I'm really interested to read your article, and thank you so much for your work. And now I will tune off and let other people speak.
Oh.
And I apologize. I have a talk at 4 o'clock Eastern time, so I have to leave at 3:30 Eastern time to attend to that. And I'm just so happy to be with you and hope we can do this again. Thank you.
I love it. Okay. Thank you. And then folks, if you can respond to Linda's challenge, but we can open this up to other topics. I'm not positive, but I think Barbara Weedhorn has her hand raised. Barbara,
Yes.
yeah, did you have a question or a comment?
I relate so strongly to everything everyone has said so far because I'm a true solo ager. I'm most of my family's gone, and I don't have much to do with the couple that are living. And I've had a problem my whole life. I'm just not social, but I know I'm going to become less able to care for myself. And I live in a home that I want to stay in till the very end, but towards the very end, it wouldn't be right. Like, I know I'd have to add an elevator because it's a 2-floor house. I wouldn't even be able to get downstairs necessarily to open a door for a food delivery. And so these are really important issues. And the power of attorney thing, I started investigating this years ago, and this lecture today is giving me some insight already, because I didn't think you could get a lawyer who would do executive stuff, or they'll do the forms, they'll write a will, they'll write a power of attorney, but the lawyer I had worked with, who unfortunately retired, and I liked him very much, but he has retired, so I'll have to get a new one to update my will. He wouldn't be your personal executor. He wouldn't be he would make the form, but he wouldn't be your POA. I hope social workers are an option. I never thought of seeing if they would. What I've done for myself for the last 10 years, way ahead of time, is somebody I knew very well. She used to walk my dog for years, and I trusted her. She had a key to my house, and my most valuable thing was my dog, despite the worth of my house. And she actually agreed to do it. But I know it's a big ask, like you say, and I don't know how long she'll be able to do it for. And she's already moved out of state. She's only in the state now 6 months a year. And, she has her own family and issues. So, I'm glad we're having this meeting today. I'm really enjoying listening in and just getting more ideas. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And again, I think the theme of today is we're not alone. We're together here, even though we're concerned about these solo issues. I dropped in the link to the Aging Life Care Manager website because some of the aging life care managers, which many are the social workers we're referring to, are helping solos in some innovative ways. And so, for those of you who might be looking at, some support, that's a profession there that you can look at. I can see her on the screen here. We got Nancy Ruffner, who is a solo ager and a patient advocate. And Nancy, do you want to say a few words about like the role of patient advocate, or also you might want to address some of the comments that have come up already?
I'd be happy to. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to see this turnout. And yes, there's an awful lot of us. I am a patient advocate and a solo ager. So I'm somebody who walks my talk. Representing patient advocacy, I will say that it's been my experience that not all attorneys will serve. They don't care to serve as agent or proxy for power of attorney matters. Relative to patient advocates and likely some other serving professions, it is a conflict of interest for us to serve as your agent or proxy for healthcare power of attorney. And by that, I mean, we'd have to leave the patient advocacy role, which means we're supporting and educating and we're advocating for you, but we are not making your decisions. We'd have to leave that role and go over to the role where we're placed in the position of making decisions for you. Now, some patient advocates will do it. Some states are very friendly toward this. My particular state is not friendly toward that. But there's no case law. There are some agencies that could have, well, we'll have somebody here serve as your agent with power of attorney, and we'll have somebody over here that does your performs the advocacy role. So an agency perhaps could do that for you. So do ask the questions, as somebody has said they're already doing. Do ask your attorney, do ask patient advocates and social workers, but it's not an across the board kind of thing. For me personally, if I were to serve for someone, I would only be of any good to maybe 6 of you, because I got to know all your medical stuff, your financial stuff, your preferences, how you want me to execute your wishes. And I'd have to be working 24/7, which is not finance. It's not feasible for me. And so those are the kinds of things that go into the decision making. So we got to do 2 things: keep pushing, keep asking, and let's bang this drum, because the John Q. public does not know that this is an issue for us. And so we need to drive the solutions.
And thank you, Nancy. And a couple of comments that I've seen in there, and I think Rena is the one that said that her end-of-life doula is serving as my healthcare proxy. And, you know, I never thought about how that profession could be a very honorable way to be an end-of-life proxy, because in essence, an end-of-life doula is making sure that your wishes are met at the end of your life. And that could potentially be a great alignment. And it sounds like Rena has explored that. And I added a link there so you can learn more about that. And then the other one somebody asked is, how do you find these attorneys? In general, the profession is called elder law. And I added the Academy's link into chat too, so you could find some elder law attorneys in your region. Okay. Wow, people keep on still coming in. I'm sorry, I keep on forgetting to admit them. All right. Again, for those of you just arrived, this is an open forum, and you just raise your hand like Paul has, and you can make a comment or ask a question or share a challenge.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm working with an organization, WHO, World Health Organization in Belize. And they too are challenged with trying to figure out how to use their existing resources to kind of relate to those who are aging independently. And especially as those networks or that circle of support changes, how do they sustain it as they're changing as well? Having now come back home to Montgomery County and focusing on that same kind of thing, one of the things I always want to point attention to, and one of the things that surprises everyone, is I think what you've done right here in this discussion, this space right here, really provides an opportunity that I don't know if we're fully realizing. And I'm thinking about what I heard from you, Barbara Wheathorn, if I may. It has to do with more than just the fact that you're thinking about how do you continue to access the available resources. One, to stay aware of them. Two, to be able to interact with those resources, whether you want to do it virtually or by phone or what have you. But it's that sense of a constant contact, something that's meaningful relationally where you are. And most often, one of the challenges that I hear is that we're thinking about it, but less so around the interactive, around the engagement. And I think what's happening here is, as you just described, wow, what an opportunity, what a resource that's been made available to describe this. And it really encompasses more than just a once in a while over the general concerns, but really to try to get to that local area network that harnesses these same kinds of relational tools, if I may, that helps us go beyond just the essentials of managing care, managing one's own private, financial, and of course, matters related to your personal. And in that regard, you're now talking about a significant part of your lives, that our lives, I'm in the 68, and I need these resources so much just to listen, to process, and then to access local area resources. And I'm hoping to see, how does this process grow? I think it's organic, but it's virtual as well. And I think there's some power to that.
I love it. Thanks, Paul. It's great thoughts and comments, and I agree. I mean, it's kind of a little experiment that we've got here, and but I think that connecting together is going to be powerful. Okay, anybody want to jump in the ring with some questions or comments? You can just open up your mic if you don't know where the hand raising thing is, or if you've got a thought that you want to share.
Paul, are you in Belize? Do you live in Belize?
Actually, no, I have returned. So I established one, I had gone back to UMBC here in Maryland to look at dementia care and policy, because after COVID, I had kind of gotten out of touch with really where are things, how have we been impacted, and what can we know now that were the essential issues that we faced. And social isolation was, boom, number one, it's epidemic. The idea of them changing in our own constitution as we age, losing that sense of relational responsiveness to those things in your own community. So in Belize, one of the things that they asked for, and as I got down there, they were just simply like, we need to talk like we're doing so here. We have our help age organizations, what are our kind of aging support organizations, where those who are in the community can come, whether they're living independently or with others, but to a community, kind of gathering space. And there they were saying that I wish I knew more of what was happening locally at another center. And I said, well, let's just talk by Zoom initially. And at first that was difficult. So flew down, started interacting, came back, and now we do these Zoom conversations. And now families are using, and at first they thought the technology was beyond. They're using phones now. Some of them are bringing their families who are coming from out the United States or wherever out, coming back into the country to support their family. They're using it as well to say, thank you for helping us rethink, how do I use this simple technology to keep us all better connected? And so in thinking about it in returning home, I was saying, we need that kind of thing here, in terms of, and when I saw this opportunity, just re-engaging myself in local community, I think this is a great vehicle, if I may, a channel, if I can, by which we're now able to kind of maybe think about, okay, here's one way of connecting, but as you're speaking, Miss Reba, it's perhaps, how can you reach me about other things? Or as I've heard others give their professional advice, that's one thing, but then I want to go talk about it with my group.
Yeah. No, this is great. Thanks, Paul. Okay, we got 3 hands raised here, and this is, so man, I got some familiar faces here that whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to click. Elva from Arlington, Texas. Great to see you, Elva.
Yeah, hi, Steve and everyone. I just wanted to mention that I lead a group here in Arlington called Ambassadors for Aging Well, and we have 500 members. I also serve as chair of the Mayor's Advisory Council for Older Adults. And one thing that we've been advocating for, because we know that most elders or most older adults want to age in place, and a lot of times people are forced out of their homes into an institution prematurely because they can no longer navigate their homes in a wheelchair or with assistive devices, even a walker sometimes. So we've been advocating for the city to change its building code to incorporate certain universal design principles. And we're only asking for 3 or 4 simple things. One is a no-step entrance into the home. One is wide enough doorways and hallways so that a wheelchair can pass. One is having a bathroom on the main floor so that if you want to rehab at home or you're no longer able to climb stairs, you can still live in your home. And sometimes these things are called visitability standards also, because often grandparents are excluded from family celebrations because the wheelchair can't make it up the steps to the front door or whatever. And I know that we're advocating for our local building code to be changed, but there's also the international building codes where we could work on this as a national issue and get building codes. They don't have enforcement, I think, regs, but usually cities and counties follow what these international code councils recommend. So I would love to get a group started at the, to get this at the international building code level. So
Yeah.
if anybody is interested in participating, I'm certainly available. You can find me at ambassadorsforagingwell.org or just elvaroy@gmail.org.
Drop your email into chat, Elva.
I'll do that.
And that'll be great. And in 2024, I'd love to spotlight what you're doing down there.
Okay.
Because that on one of our discussions. Let's see, Rich, you've got your hand raised, and then we've got Vita and Ann next in line.
Yeah, hi. I live in Washington, D.C., and I'm involved in a couple of the local villages. And they have been extremely helpful in doing some things. What I'm finding for myself is the difficulty I have in calling somebody to get some help. I know, like, I'm used to handling my whole life, handling everything for my whole life. And it's and there are a lot of things that I can no longer handle, but I have a hard time asking for getting somebody to help or asking for help. And I'm wondering if other people in this group have had similar feelings.
I'd love to hear other people respond to that. Rick, I talked about this at an event that they hosted for me. It's like, I'm really good at helping other people, but when it comes to asking for help, it's very difficult, and it's something that I'm working on. So if folks raise your hand and jump in and chat on that very important topic that Rich brings up. And then Vita, it looks like you're the next in line that has your hand up if you want to.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Almost Happy New Year. Happy holidays. I don't know how to put my picture on, so, but I just wanted to say, Paul, you mentioned about you had waited to find this kind of program or community with us. And I've been attending for maybe 2 years. Once you start attending, you have to attend again because there's so many different subjects and there's so many things that apply to you that you would never think of. And it's, everybody here is really nice, and everyone is sharing information. It's not as if, oh, my information is so good, I got to keep it to myself. Everybody here shares information. I love it. But real quick, whenever we finish asking questions, my boyfriend is a veteran, and he is 100%. He has a lot of problems getting around. He's been falling lately and all this stuff. And he cannot get the help he needs. And I don't know if he's not getting it or he's just not telling me he's getting it. So if anybody has any he lives in New Jersey, South Jersey.
Okay.
So if anybody has any suggestions, just please put it in the chat and I can copy it and try it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Vita, type in just that I'm looking for resources for my veteran boyfriend, and put your email in there. I know I've been talking with Purple Heart recently, and I had no idea that Purple Heart is really interested in supporting elders. And quite frankly, I didn't really know what Purple Heart did. So I think there's resources out there that none of us know about, especially for veterans. So thanks for that, Vita. Okay, next up is Anne, and then Elaine is after that. Anne, any questions, comments, or challenges?
Yeah, I have some comments. I appreciated the comment about the difficulty in asking for help. And I think there's sort of two parts of that. One is sort of getting over the resistance or, disinclination to ask for help because we're used to being so independent. But I'm also thinking a lot about the fact that help is hard to find these days and only getting more difficult. And, I'm thinking about how do we encourage people to become interested in caregiving, people who are naturally inclined in that direction to have access to the education and training that they need, because we have a tremendous shortage in this country of people who are interested and willing to do this work. And in order to, sort of fulfill our goals, for my goal at least, of aging in place as long as I can, I'm kind of thinking, that I'm going to be able to hire someone to help me with things over time, but really maybe not. And I think this is a big problem in this country. I just wanted to voice that.
That's great. And to piggyback on that, the other day, I think it was a year ago, I was talking to somebody after one of the solo aging events. She called me up and she was really, concerned because she felt like she didn't have anybody to help her. Okay. And she joined a village because where she discovered this was she needed a ride home from a medical procedure, and she couldn't get a ride. And it really upset her. And then so she joined the village, but then she was like, oh, this is so pathetic. I can't believe that I'm at this point where I'm joining this club because I can't get a ride home from a medical procedure. And I said to her, look, you're joining to get a ride, but what if before your next procedure, you gave some other people, what if you volunteered and gave some people rides to medical procedures so you could see that you're not the only one going through this? And it never hit her that way. And I think that those of us that are concerned about who's going to care for us, if we can get out there and start caring for people just like us, it could be another good solution.
I'd just like to make, just another comment on that. I completely agree with everything that you're saying about the value of community and helping one another. But I really wanted to highlight the fact that we don't have enough paid caregivers in this country, that even senior care facilities are having trouble finding and hiring good people. And I think it's something that we should just be aware of collectively. I don't remember the name of the woman who was from Texas who's advocating for some policy changes in terms of buildings. But, I think that collectively, perhaps we can have a voice in addressing this shortage of care providers, of paid care providers, certified nursing assistants, and so on. I just think this is an important policy issue.
Yeah, I totally agree. And a combination of us helping our fellow man, and let's advocate and increase the wages, do whatever we can to make it more people choose this as a profession. Okay, Elaine, you've got your hand raised.
I do. This is, I guess, following up on Rich Marquardt, who talked about not wanting to ask his village for help, which is, of course, that's why they're there, to help you. But I think at one point you have to, I did have to swallow one's pride and say, I've got to ask for help, especially if some people have already, I had a total knee replacement in August, and I'm widowed, and I had physical therapy appointments, 8, 9, 10, 12 appointments scheduled. And I thought, now how am I going to get there? I wasn't even sure. Now I have learned to use Uber and Lyft. I'm quite proficient at that, but I wasn't even sure if I could. By the way, you can sit in the front seat if you ask, because sometimes getting into a back seat is not easy when you having a total knee after a total knee replacement. But what I did is, and this is another reason why I don't want to leave my neighborhood, because I have friends in the neighborhood, and many of them had offered to drive me to PT appointments. And so one day I said, well, I'm going to swallow my pride. I have no other choice. And I sent out an email to about, I think, 11 or 12 people. And I said, I need help. And I said, I'm not above asking for it. Please help me. I said, I need to get to a physical therapy appointments. I did choose a place that was fairly close to home. And I said, I'm not even asking for round trip. If I could get one way, that would be great. I'll get myself home somehow. And of course, you know what happened. I would ended up with round trips. Sometimes they included lunch in the process. And I don't think you have to worry about reciprocating with ride, because I get vertigo. So I don't want to have anybody in the car with me should I have a vertigo attack. But there are other ways of reciprocating and making something or taking care, whatever. There are many other, I think a hearty thank you is really all they appreciate. They were most appreciative of my appreciation. And I showed that. But I said, you have to just swallow your pride and just do it.
Yeah.
Ask. If you need it, ask.
That's great words of wisdom there.
And in the process of having one-on-one in car, we had these wonderful conversations. I got to know them so much more than I would have, that I know that as I say, I felt that I knew them better than I did before I asked for help, because we had these one-on-one car conversations. And occasionally, as I say, we would have lunch together. Maybe it was just McDonald's or any place, but it was a wonderful experience, and it made me feel so loved. That's the word. I felt so loved.
That's great. Because
Elaine.
Elaine brought up Uber and Lyft. I dropped into chat the service GoGo Grandparents, and if you're not familiar with it, they can enable you to take Uber, Lyft, and actually now DoorDash and a bunch of other things that have traditionally been only app-based. You can now dial a phone number to get an Uber or a Lyft ride, and they follow up and they find drivers that want to drive seniors. So it's kind of cool. So check that out. Okay, let's see. Deb Knox, you are next on the list here. Whoops, down at the lower left-hand screen, it should say unmute. Here.
You did it for me. Okay, thank you. Yes, this business about caring for others and preparing to be cared for ourselves. I think the concept of home sharing has an awful lot of value for people to consider. I moved in with a woman 7 years ago who had Parkinson's disease and simply needed somebody to cook dinner and sleep and live in her house. And of course, 9 years later, she's still alive and we have a wonderful relationship.
Wow.
We started Tucson Home Sharing Inc. It's a nonprofit.
Holy cow.
That helps people identify homeowners who have more than one bedroom or two and an extra bath and want somebody. And we have a very in-depth process for helping people identify their values and create a list of must-haves and can't live withs, and how to identify prospective home sharers.
Wow.
And there are about 50 programs nationwide. 20 of them are in California, of course.
Yeah, we just did a discussion on home sharing, but the thing that I like about what you just said, and I want to add a follow-up question. So when you when you moved in with your roommate, now, so
Homemate.
homemate, yeah, the homemate, not roommate. Did your homemate have Parkinson's? Was the diagnosis, did they have the diagnosis at that time?
Oh yeah, she'd had it for 20 years. So she was it was either that or assisted living.
Okay.
She didn't like beige on beige. So she's
And
a
did you
beautiful
know
home.
her? Like, did you know her?
No, we were introduced by two mutual friends, which it certainly heightens. So building your network, the first step is asking for help. I could cook dinner and live in somebody else's house if I could get rid of my mortgage and my condo and live, rent free. Who wouldn't?
Wow.
So she's been cared for, and our website, Tucson Home Sharing, I just put it in the
Yes.
I put in the email instead of, but it's Tucson Home Sharing, .com.org.
Yeah, I love this, but what I love the most, we just did the home sharing discussion with like the president of the National Home Sharing Network, but I want to get you on to talk about I would love to talk to you about this long-term home sharing relationship with living with somebody that has a health need that you've helped address. I think this is a wonderful story. I will email you, Deb, and we'll get you on one of our discussions.
Let me just say that's been a challenge for some people. Do they want to be a caregiver or just want to live somewhere? But it's amazing how much we can help each other.
Yeah, man, hats off and
Be
congrats.
happy to talk with you. Thank you.
Yeah, this is great. All right, Stephen Hobbs, you are, I feel like a talk show host. You are on the air.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Hello, everyone. Quick story. About 15 years ago, I sold my home and gave everything I owned away to enter into a digital nomad lifestyle so I could travel the world. Did that for a little while, and I started to realize, hang on a minute, things are starting to creep up on me. And it became a gray digital nomad. And along the way, I said, okay, where do I want to live? How do I want to live? So I started doing the house sitting, dog walking type of style of life so that I could just keep moving around, but it was local now. So it was a little different. But what this led me to was the notion of the co-housing. So what I do now is I just take co-housing arrangements with people who are looking for someone to come in and or walk their dogs or take care of their place. So I consider myself an inbuilt security system.
Nice.
I happen to be 6'7", so I'm a big one. So it helps that way. The other thing that sort of got me going along this was this notion of aging and legacy. And I could go for days and days about that topic, but I just like to share with you is that anytime you ask a question, it's a legacy project in the making. Because project means, pro means moving forward, and ject is Latin for this sense of throw. So to move something, to throw something forward. So if you're asking a question, you're really throwing something forward. And I'm just thinking that for all of you, in asking the questions and doing something about it, you're actually into a legacy project. And I think that that is worth celebrating here, right? For all the things that you are doing and have done. And in some ways, I would just like to applaud everyone for doing what they're doing. And if legacy is a topic you'd like to learn more about or get involved with, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. So thanks, Steve.
Yeah, no, this is great. Okay. Let me look at okay, we got about 10 minutes till the top of the hour. Not that we can't go on forever, but I think for this first one, trying this new format out, an hour is probably a good time. And I'd love for people to reflect on this and send me your thoughts and feedback. One of the reasons I'm interested in exploring this with this format is solo aging is our #1 discussion topic on our platform. But there's a lot of other things that I think a format like this could do well with. And it could be, you know, loved ones with dementia, or it could be getting rid of your stuff and figuring out what to do there, or it could be, you know, like LGBT aging issues. There's a lot of unique things where maybe not having one speaker and letting us just kind of air out our ideas and thoughts might be might be a good format. But anybody else have anything to add, or any concerns that things that you're thinking about? Let's see. Oh, okay. Martin says this. I agree, Martin. Maybe it would be beneficial if people added to the name where they are from geographically. Yeah, I'm actually blown away that we've got people all over the country and all over the world. I see Stephen says he's from Canada there, but that'll be something. If you want to update your little name right now and just say where you're from, that's great, or drop it into chat. But I could also see where in the future we might have little breakouts, like an East Coast breakout or a West Coast breakout, or you know, things, or international breakout, to help people connect with their neighbors who might be on here.
Hey, Steve, this is
yeah.
Elva. And if people don't know how to change their name, you can just right click on your picture and there'll be a rename bullet there. And you can just click on that and change your name right now, just like I did to add Arlington, Texas to my name.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And I'm gonna make it a point that I really think we should do another one of these again, like maybe on a monthly basis, and then let's see, we can increase the frequency or what have you. But the next time I do one of these, I'm gonna say, hey, look, folks, right from the get-go, type in your geographic area, and that would be good. Let's see. Okay, we got about 10 minutes. So if you all want, I'm looking at chat to see if there's any topics that have been brought up there. Someone said, how do you find a village? And Teresa added the Village to Village Network link in there. Another organization that may be in your area that I'm really impressed with is called the Shepherd Center of America. And I believe there's 50 Shepherd Centers nationwide. And they do a really good job of sort of creating this neighbors helping neighbors model as well. Let's see.
Steve, Elizabeth has her hand up.
Oh, Elizabeth. Yeah.
Thanks. I'm using my Master of Science in Biomedical Engineering to expand health span for wise women, including clinical trials that the NIH has recently opened to partnership with biohackers. Who else here is ready to collaborate to empower women seeking regenerative medicine? I would like to help proposals to develop injectable hydrogels that detect biomarkers and release stem cells or other biologics. I haven't gotten paid anything for any of this. Who should I connect with so that we can actually accomplish something? Any biohackers here?
Wow. Well, can you define what a biohacker is? Because
so I'm using your extreme, immense amount of life experience. Say, I've tried all those medications and stuff. That doesn't work. I'm going to try these vitamins and these foods and this. And I'm putting together my whole regimen, and it works for me. You think, hey, I have that problem too. Would it work for me too? Well, here's what I do. Let's try it. Okay, I'm going to try eating that stuff too now and see if it works for me. Because by the time we get our age, we've got so many conditions, and there's so many foods out there that people don't even eat. Why not? Well, maybe they would work.
Yeah. Okay. And I see where you've introduced yourself in the chat. What I would do is add your email address, and then also email me, because I think this is a topic that could be worthy of understanding better and diving deeper into, like with one of our noon sessions where we can talk about the biohacking in a little more detail. And then I'm sure that there might be some folks that are here today that will connect with you, but I could see where if we did a whole discussion topic on it, it could really provoke some interest. It's interesting, and I'm bringing this up just I can see the screen that is it's a female dominated world, okay, you know, especially in this area of solo aging, and when Elizabeth brought it up that she was talking about women and biohacking, it's it's interesting. I was asked to talk to a group not too long ago that wanted me to talk about solo aging from a male perspective, and there's I don't know where I'm going on this. Okay. Okay.
Well, no, it's just because you know, I mean, I've always prepared all of my own meals, and I'm like, well, why am I following some recipe? You know, I've always done these Mediterranean diet recipes. I'm so glad I did, because it really turns out to be the healthiest diet. You know, I just don't see men as having spent their lives cooking for themselves and being, but I'm sure there are many men. It's just, that's why I'm focused on women, because the wisdom of the ages of having done so much preparing meals and trying to figure out what works best.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, definitely. Okay, somebody is asking about what's the solo living program, please, from chat, and I'm not finding it really quickly. If somebody who knows about the solo, oh, here it is. Maria was wondering if any of you have participated in the session solo aging living program. We're trying to find a group to exchange ideas and experiences. Maria, if you're still on, can you describe?
I've participated in the solo aging.
Oh, here's Maria. Maria.
Maria, unmute.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this session. I am a board member at the La Miranda Village. We are here in the East Bay, near San Francisco. And from my group, there are, at least that I can see, 2 other people. So La Miranda Village has right now 118 people that are solo. So we are trying to found a group, a program that solo living people will be able to meet regularly, maybe once or twice a month, to exchange ideas, to go out together, to travel together, and make friends.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, so now I see your question is is there anybody in this session who are in a solo living program? Okay.
That's right, because actually I attended a session that you, Steve, organized with Sarah Sheets from Viva Village. And we have started to think about this program, and we're most likely going to start meeting either in January or February. So I was wondering whether anybody in the group have any experience or ideas that they can share that will help us organize our group.
That's great.
Thank you.
Maria, make sure that type in your email address at the bottom of the chat, because somebody might have something. But here's a thought, y'all, is that, and I'm glad you used this forum to ask that question, because, you know, one of the things that would be kind of cool is if we did this every month, okay? If we had a gathering like this every month, like I could see where Maria gives us an update on what she's doing in the, in her region, and it could inspire other people, but we still have this one gathering spot where we can all at least know that we're not alone and share ideas. The other idea that I also had was we might be able to use the breakout groups with this Zoom feature after, like, we could have a discussion like this, and then it's sort of like, all right, you know, the Loma Linda group is going to be in room 1, and the you know, the Connecticut group is going to be in room 2. I don't know. But
yeah, and isn't it interesting that Loma Linda is a blue zone?
Yeah.
And blue zone is the #1 thing that makes longevity better is connection. So she's trying to facilitate connection even more than is already there, I guess.
What is it
That's
like
right.
living in a blue zone, Maria?
Well, the only blue zone that I know that exists here is in Southern California called Loma Linda.
Oh, I thought that's
And,
where you
I
were
thought that's
from.
where you were too. Where are
No,
you?
we're in northern part of California and near San Francisco. But I am aware. I
So
have
is
read the
Loma
book.
Linda.
I have read the book about the blue zones, and I come from Spain, so I always follow a Mediterranean diet. And but we think that connections and relationships and friendships is a very important part of aging together. So this is why we are very, with a small group of La Morinda Village members, we're trying to set up this group to try to live better and longer.
Great. And then Kitty asks, Blue Zone, what is it? Kitty, I'm going to drop it into chat, but Blue Zones are, I believe, the 9 places on the planet that have the most centenarians. And they've studied them and they've found these various ways, lifestyles, and practices in those areas that have contributed to people living longer lives.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, it's 4:01 now here on the East Coast. Let me put up a poll. I'm just curious because I think this went incredibly well, but I don't want to take my opinion as fact. So I'm going to do a little poll and just let me know how you found this. And if you don't mind, like, just share your thoughts with me via email if you've got any ideas. But what
You
I'm
put it up and took it down so fast nobody had a chance to respond.
Oh shoot, what happened here? Relaunch poll. There.
It's not there.
There we go. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'll pick I'm gonna pick a date on the calendar in December, and I'm gonna do this intentionally. I'm gonna pick it right before the holidays. Okay. I don't do any of my discussions a week before the holidays, but I think a solo aging discussion, you know, a week or so before, you know, the Christmas holiday, it might be a good thing. You know, if there's anybody out there that has some concerns or what have you, but it can also, I feel like this is a real positive thing, man. It's a bunch of us coming together, and so maybe that's a great way to kick off the holidays. So, okay, all right, folks. Thanks a million, and provide me with feedback, and I love critical feedback too, because I can't get better unless you give me critical feedback. So don't hesitate to shoot me an email that says, hey, what if you did X, Y, and Z, and that might be helpful.
Don't shoot.
Can we get a copy of the chat?
Oh yeah, I'm going to put the recording and chat up so that you can see that. I should have it done first thing in the morning.
Thank you so much, and have a great holiday.
All right, y'all. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks all.